What is up, Raidernation, and welcome back to another pregame preview between our 1-1 Las Vegas Raiders and the 1-1 Washington Commanders. Now, this is a big game. I know the Raiders had a horrible showing on Monday Night Football, but it's all good. It's all right because we still got a long way to go till the season is over, and that still means that the Raiders have a chance to bounce back in this weekend's matchup. And to that point, the Raiders will not be facing Jaden Daniels. We're actually going to be facing my cousin Big Oast, the throwing Samoan, Marcus Mariota. And I will definitely say that I'm a little bit worried. I'm a little bit worried going into this matchup, even though looking at it on paper for us, it's like, okay, we should be able to handle them. But you know, with the Raiders, nothing is ever given, especially the games that we expect them to win. They always give us a heart attack, and most of the times we lose, especially when it comes to a backup quarterback. But will all of that change this week in Washington? We'll definitely find out tomorrow, and I'm excited for it because I believe that the Raiders have a chance to at least turn things back around before they come right back home to Las Vegas. That being said, though, if this is the very first time you guys are coming across the channel and you love Raiders content just like this, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification icon button. Now, you guys already know the deal. We can't start no pregame preview without giving you guys some nation news that you can use. Now, first up, of course, the breaking news that came out just yesterday. Commanders head coach Dan Quinn announced that Marcus Mariota will start against the Raiders as Jaden Daniels recovers from a knee sprain. Now, this was news last week after he went down, and there was a lot of speculations on whether or not he's going to be ready to play in this game. Now we find out that he won't be playing, which is going to be huge for the Raiders. We got to adjust some things. We're going to be playing a backup quarterback. Like I said earlier, should be a winnable matchup for the Raiders, but we can never say that it's a winnable matchup with this team because I feel like they don't even know what kind of team they are. But we know the history with the Raiders facing off against backup quarterbacks. I'm going to allude to that a little bit later. I'll talk about that a little bit later in today's episode, but definitely something to keep an eye on. Now, speaking of the injury report, JPJ most likely will return in Washington. Now, as of right now, JPJ does not have an injury designation for Sunday's matchup against the Commanders. Paris Johnson missed Week 2's matchup on Monday Night Football versus the Chargers while in concussion protocol. He practiced full both Thursday and Friday and will be set to start at right guard. Now, this would be huge for the Raiders because we've seen how bad that offensive line looked out there, and without JPJ, it definitely was a struggle to watch this team. So having him come back is a good sign for this team and a good sign for the offensive line, and hopefully this offensive line can hold up throughout the whole game against a Washington defense that can definitely get to the quarterback. Now, another roster move that was made today, according to Raiders PR, the Las Vegas Raiders are elevating undrafted free agent cornerback Greedy Vance to the 53-man roster for Sunday's matchup versus the Commanders. They will also elevate wide receiver Alex Bachman. Now, last bit of news that I seen earlier today actually was Ryan Clark basically shitting on Ashton, Jenty, saying that he doesn't have it.
What's Ashton Jenty's it factor? Because when you got it, and it pops. We see it at some point. Fred Taylor had it. LaDainian Tomlinson had it. Adrian Peterson, Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson. We saw it. Right. You saw it early. Even if the statistics didn't say, oh, he rushes for 100.
Well, Bijan was seeing.
Right, it was something early.
Right.
Where's Ashton Jenty's? Ashton Jenty doesn't have that it factor. And I don't think this is a load management thing. I think this is a production thing. This is a pop thing.
Shut up.
Now, honestly, I'm not going to say that I agree or totally disagree with his notion because a lot of things can go both ways, but just 2 weeks in, I think is a little bit premature. You know, he's still young. He's still trying to get into the game and whatnot. Yeah, maybe he's not going out there breaking out and looking like a generational talent right out the gate. But there's still a lot of times. There's still 15 more games in the season, and a lot of things can happen. I know as a Raider fan, I'm holding on to that hope that he will pan out. I'm not going to call him a bust just yet, even though there are a lot of people out there with that notion saying that he is. We can't just look at Ashton Jenty. We also got to look at the offensive line as well. They have not been doing their job, especially in the run game. And I know that there's been plenty of runs, like I said, that frustrated me with Ashton Jenty, but I'm not giving up on him just yet. And I'm not going to say that he doesn't have it. So RC, pump the brakes, Zeus. pump the brakes on that. I hope that this is some type of motivation for Ashton Jenty going into this game because, hey, he's been hearing a lot of things throughout the whole week, especially after the first 2 games. I just need Ashton Jenty to go out there and just do what he does and just prove everybody wrong and prove why he was worth that 6th overall pick. Now, moving on, I want to talk about some storylines in this game. The very first one being Gino Smith. Will he bounce back after last week's game? Now, ironically, Gino Smith already with the Raiders has had a really good game and a really bad game. And of course, emotions are running wild, especially after this last game where he threw 3 interceptions, had a horrible game throwing for 180 yards. But for me, I honestly feel like Gino Smith, this is going to be a big game for him to determine whether or not he can show that he is the right guy for us, or is he going to continue to throw interceptions and just look horrible. There's 2 different tales to Gino Smith, and we've seen it already in 2 weeks. So Gino Smith is definitely going to be not only a player that I'm looking forward to watching, but also going to be somebody that's going to determine the momentum of this game, depending on how he plays out there. And I know the offensive line is another story, but Gino Smith has got to do a much better job protecting the football and checking down to his reads if he needs to, not just forcing throws just because you want to force throws down the field. So can Gino Smith and the rest of this offense bounce back in week 3? We'll have to wait and see tomorrow morning. Now, the second bit of storyline is Raiders facing backup quarterbacks. Can the Raiders break the curse of backup quarterbacks? I mean, we've played so many backup quarterbacks in our past, and we always look at it and jot it down as a win, or the Raiders should win this game. It's a winnable game, whatever. So many different quarterbacks. It goes all the way back to Andy Dalton. You had Baker Mayfield when he joined the team just a couple of days before the Rams and Raiders game on Thursday night. Then you got Tyson Bagent when we played against the Chicago Bears, somebody that just came out of nowhere. And all those guys having good games against the Raiders, biting us in the ass, and us just dropping games that we should win. Now, going into this game against the Washington Commanders, no Jaden Daniels, but we're going to be seeing the big Marcus Mariota stepping up and stepping in for him. And I will say, I'm honestly nervous, really nervous about this game because, yes, I could feel a little bit high about this team and feel like we can win this game. But then again, we're the Raiders. We've seen the story told multiple times. And Marcus Mariota is no slouch. The last 2 times we've seen him step in for Jaden Daniels, one last year was against the Panthers where he went 18 for 23, 205 yards, 34 rushing yards, and 2 touchdowns with no interceptions. And then in the last game of the season last year against the Cowboys, he was 15 for 18, 161 pass yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 56 rushing yards with 1 rushing touchdown. So like I said, even though Marcus Mariota is a bit older in his age, he's not the same quarterback he once was, but he could still go out there and throw a couple of TDs on our ass if we don't step up or cause any pressure on him. So this is going to be a really big game for the Raiders because, one, if we could get that W, it'll help bring the momentum right back to this team going back home into Allegiant Stadium when we face off against the Bears, I believe. So I think that's the next matchup we have back at home. But if we lose, it's just going to be another tough week. So this is going to be a huge matchup. We're facing a backup quarterback. Can we overcome that nightmare that we've been facing these past couple of years? Now, the last storyline is the Raiders defense versus the run. Now, the Raiders defense has allowed only 3.2 yards per rush this season, which is 4th fewest in the NFL. In contrast, the Commanders are averaging 5.3 yards per rush, ranking 3rd most in the league, which means that this matchup presents a key challenge for the Raiders defense. And we know that this defense definitely has surprised me this year. They definitely have been impressive for me in 2 weeks. They showed me that they could be that bend but don't break type of defense, especially in the second half of games. They've only given up 3 points total. And against the run, they've done an even better job. So for me, it's wondering if this defense can continue that same type of play in this game, because we're definitely going to need it against a guy like Marcus Mariota. The big thing for me, though, is just putting more pressure on Marcus Mariota. Now, it's good to stop the run, but putting pressure, that's a different story. Because last week against Justin Herbert, that dude was just sitting in a pocket for ever. He didn't have to worry about our defense getting to him. So that's just another thing that we're definitely going to have to look forward to in this game. Now, I want to go over 3 players to watch in this game. 3 players that I'm looking forward to watching for our Las Vegas Raiders. Of course, number 1 is Ashton Jenty. And I feel this is the 3rd straight week that I put Ashton Jenty on this list because I'm still waiting for Ashton to go out there and break out and show why he was worth that 6th overall pick, why he was considered a generational talent, why he's supposed to be the guy to carry this team on his back back when we need him to. I know throughout the whole week, he's been getting a lot of criticism all over the place. He was asked about getting a bigger workload. He talked about you don't draft a guy that high just not to give him the carries and the touches. Then you got Chip Kelly rebuttaling to that statement, saying that, you know, we don't want to put too much of the workload on him because we don't want him to go down halfway through the season, which I totally understand. But Ashton Jenty definitely is going to be somebody I'm looking forward to in this game to see what he can do. Can he take that criticism that he's gotten from not only the Raider fans, the media, and even Ryan Clark? Can he take all of that and turn it into motivation for this game and run wild? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but I really want this to be the game that Ashton Jenty breaks out. The second player to watch in this game for me is Brock Bowers. Now, I know Brock Bowers was dealing with injury last week, and all week we didn't know if he was going to play. Now, he did end up playing, but we definitely could see that he wasn't 100%. He looked a little bit slower out there. He had his leg brace out there, had 5 receptions for 38 yards. But knowing him and knowing this offense, he's a big part of that offense. And when we have Brock Bowers at 100% out there, this offense moves perfectly. If he's not, then it's going to be a struggle depending on how well the other players play. But we know that Brock Bowers is a big part of this offense and helping it move forward. So he's going to be a guy that I hope to see get a little bit more touches or get more involved in the game. And the last player, well, I wouldn't even say just player, but players, is the whole damn offensive line. So far this season, this offensive line has been sus. They have been horrible. They haven't been perfect. They could be better. There's definitely a lot of room for improvement for them because even though in week 1 they struggled, but we came away with the W. We need to see them do a lot better in the run blocking scheme, opening up holes for Ashton Jenty. Like I stated before, I want Ashton Jenty to take that load off of Gino Smith. And I know it doesn't help when Gino Smith is throwing interceptions out there. So keeping Gino Smith clean in the pocket is another big thing. I don't know what more we can say about it, but you can tell that they got exposed in this last game. There was a lot of miscommunication out there. I don't know whether or not it was because JPJ wasn't there, but Jordan Meredith ain't doing his thing. Dylan Parham looked horrible out there. Outside of Colton Miller and DJ Glaze, the whole offensive line struggled. So hopefully having JPJ back this week can help them out, because if they don't show up this week, it's going to be a long season. And I've said that before, even before the years even started, that if the offensive line cannot hold up, if they cannot do their job, it's going to be a really long season for this team. And we cannot expect this team to win a lot of games. I mean, we seen last week how bad this offense looked. So offensive line, do your damn job, and I hope to see a much better game this week. That being said, Raider Nation, man, how do you guys feel about this game? What are your thoughts going into this game? Do you feel like the Raiders can come away with the victory, or are you guys a little bit worried? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Until the next video, this your boy, Some More Raider, and your boy is, yeah.